To be a man means to be in the superior position. So any move toward democracy, which is toward equality, becomes a threat to manhood. And if manhood is threatened, violence is imminent.
Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to Unmasking Male Educators. Today, I am going to just have a conversation with you about some things that have been going on in our world, some things that may have been going on with you, however you see the world, but definitely in terms of education and what we're seeing in education. This show, Unmasking Male Educators, has been an opportunity to talk to men from all backgrounds and from different places around the world around education, what's working, what's not. But me as the educator who started this work so many years ago, I have been also really doing my best to reveal and share some of the things that are kind of, I don't talk about as much. Like in the interviews, when I'm having a chance to invite somebody to share what brought them to education, what brought them to the passion that they're in right now, it's sometimes less about what all my stories. And as much as I try and make it a conversation where I'm sharing some stories, I'm also trying to do the best with a short amount of time to really learn more about them. It's been a tricky thing going from the show where we're having a conversation to now the show where I'm really trying to like make sure I'm adding value to those who are listening. And so these episodes where I get a chance just to talk to you directly is an opportunity to go a little deeper, because there are lots of things going on in our world today, in education world today, with our young people today. Yesterday I was at school in the Santa Cruz County area near the coast, and a beautiful area. And at one of the schools I went to, met with a group of about 10 young men. We had lunch together. We talked about the masks. They had a chance to make a mask. I asked them a lot of questions about what are some of their concerns, what are some things that they're concerned about with young men today, and what makes it hard being a young man today. They spoke about the challenge with talking to girls. They're talking about the challenges of trying to live up to expectations of others around you. They spoke about the difficulty of like talking about your emotions and how you feel and finding people you can trust. I asked young men, who doesn't have someone they can go to when they're struggling? And a couple of young men raised their hand. I was so proud of their honor, their honesty and their vulnerability. And I told the young man, listen, right now you got me. You have your instructor here, but you got me if you ever want to reach out. And I think imagine that. Imagine if you knew that when you were going through tough times, that you had no one to talk to. I grew up in a church. So for a lot of the existence of my life, like I was in church a lot, like probably more than some of the preachers, right? Because I was a janitor on Saturdays. You know what I'm saying? So I was always in that place. I felt like I was like, I can't wait to get to college, right? Because while I'm in college, no one can make me go anymore, right? And that was my mom's way of raising us in a place that was about safety, about blessing, about love, about kindness, about caring. And more than ever today, and definitely in the recent past, I've heard more people use this idea of their belief in some higher power, their belief in God, justifying evil, justifying hate, justifying othering, justifying disregarding the poor and the lowly and the least of these. Lies. Now I'm also, as I say that word, I'm like, oh, it's getting a little edgy. I can feel the energy rising in me right now. Here's what I'm really being careful about in my words right now. And it's going to get less careful because I'm going to be probably speaking a little bit more freely in a few minutes. But I want to name this here because sometimes I feel like emotional landmine. And I have to be really careful about when somebody says something to me that I am like, ooh, this is what I'm feeling right now. Here's what I really want to say. And where am I at? How do I need to practice what words I'm going to say back? I'm not a person who's just going to all of a sudden react over like just somebody saying something inappropriate. But there's a lot of things happening in the world today that causes me, and maybe causes you, to feel something, to not be able to hear what's going on and ignore it and pretend like nothing is going on in our world, that is absolutely not acceptable. I mean, I've always, well, I say always, from early life, I think elementary school, when I first saw the movie Roots, we watched it on public television after school, sat down after school, grabbed our snack or whatever, and my mom had us watch this movie. My mom was raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. She went to Central High School. My mom was well aware of what benefits I had in California that some of my cousins back in Arkansas didn't have, just in the sense of where we live, how people talk to you when you go into a grocery store. So there was a difference in how I saw the world and how some of my other family members saw the world. My grandmother still lives there in Little Rock, Arkansas. I love visiting her. And I feel some of the edginess sometimes when I'm there. Why am I kind of going into these other places of my life? I think I want you to know that where I'm coming from today, this emotional landmine, what I talk to these young men about, when they understand, here's what happens. You store up all of this stuff that you've been carrying, this baggage that you've been loading around. And then something happens and boom, and it unleashes. There's a quote in the documentary Beyond Men and Masculinity, and it's a scene that really begins to speak to that. It says, in America, I mean, actually, maybe not only in America, but let's just say for right now in America, to be a man means to be in the superior position. So any move towards democracy, which is toward equality, becomes a threat to manhood. And when manhood is threatened, violence is imminent. You can see it over and over again, not only through the manosphere, through the gropers, through all of these people, through the most recent situation that happened in the clubs in Miami, where people were playing Hail Hitler song in the van, the club. And not only after this thing happens and these videos get leaked, then you see the people who need to protect their image, who go out on their public broadcasting tour and says, well, it wasn't me. I mean, I was there, but I didn't put the song on. I think it was this person who put the song on. And you watch their behavior. You watch these so-called alpha males who want to be the toughest of all, who are nothing but babies. Babies at best, emotionally. And I'm really, as I watch what's happening in the world and I'm trying to figure out where do I speak about these things, I feel like there's a need to speak about them, like on a regular basis. And sometimes because I have this show that comes out once a week, I'm talking to educators about education, like those things don't have a place. I don't have a place to talk about them as much as I want to. And I'm really beginning to explore in 2026, where do they need to happen? Maybe I'll just do them in the moment and I just post them. And knowing that, look, when you're speaking from emotion, sometimes your words are going to get chopped up. I know sometimes when I get really frustrated, I'm trying to find the right words to say and they come fast. And so you have to like, am I saying that word right? Am I mean? Is that what I mean? And sometimes you may misspeak. I may misspeak. Even in this episode today, I'm really kind of being careful right now, but I'm really finding my heart sometimes hurting. I'm going to show you the clip about that quote so you can see it and you can see the military action, not only what we're seeing with ICE agents around the country, what we have seen over and over with the policing of our bodies, of the world that we live in that says, oh, I'll make the rules as long as they work for me. And then when they don't work for me, I'll just try and change the rules. I don't know what you see when you hear a man being killed in the middle of the street. Not one of the people they said they were looking for. Someone who dared to stand up to this powerful regime who is taking power at force and sometimes illegally. And so you imagine what's happening in our world today. The nurse who was killed, murdered, assassinated in the middle of the street, disarmed him from his weapon that he has the right to hold. He is legally has a right to carry, has a license to carry, and then they murder him. And all the people who I've always heard after school shooting, after school shooting, after school shooting, who say, don't touch our guns, Don't touch our guns. How dare you have the audacity to think that you can touch our guns? And even the people who want to keep the guns said, look at them trying to take your gun. Look at them trying to take your guns. And guess what? Over and over and over again, we continue to see the same behavior. We continue to see the same behavior of what happens when we don't listen to what people are actually saying and watch what they're doing. And yet we buy into a old story that was our grandparents' old story of what the GOP was. Alex Pretti was that man's name. The man who found himself trying to help a lady who had been sprayed by pepper spray, whatever she was sprayed with. And then he himself gets attacked while he's trying to record all the things he has the right to do. Then people decide they want to not stand by it. And they want to justify it within hours of his death, justify it before they want to do a investigation of it. Now, listen, you probably hear lots of people talking about the Alex Pretti situation. You probably hear a lot of them talking about the woman that was also killed in Minneapolis. There are dozens of people who have been killed by ICE. And sadly, their names haven't made it to the top of the press. But I want you to know there's a list. And what we also know, not only there's a list of people who've been killed by ICE, there are plenty of people who've just been disappeared by ICE. We are experiencing something new in my lifetime. In my lifetime. I'm here in Northern California. I'm in the Bay Area. So I have a heart feeling for the people in this community as well. We know that it's creeping up in different places around the country. And we know that vindictiveness is the recipe for this administration. And I also know that as I speak out into this work, into this microphone about what I see happening in our world, the amount of people who have to feel like they have to stay silent. I felt that. I felt the need to stay silent and not speak out about it. Stay in my lane, Ashanti. Focus on education. Focus on education. And this is education. And speaking about education, let me let you hear from a young man in a city called Hillsborough. This young man is 16 years old. He went to speak to the city council. He wanted to tell them what he was feeling and experiencing and asking them to step up to protect their community. I can't say it better than he does. So let me let you hear his words so that you will be able to take it in.
Hello, my name is Manny. I just wanted to tell you guys and say that I really hope you guys do side with us and you guys really do hear what we're saying for you guys, because all of us here are actually trying to fight for what's right and fight for our rights. And I just want to tell you guys that I'm scared for my parents to walk out there to walk out their house, because I might not be able to say goodbye to them if they go to work. I might not ever be able to say bye or see them again if you guys don't side with us. And I'm scared because of it, because they fought so hard to come here and choose a life for their kids. And I really hope you guys do hear what everyone in this room has been saying, and I hope you guys do side with us, because we are fighting for our rights. And we are getting treated like animals because people judge us by the color of our skin and the way that we talk. And we have a president that acts like a child and doesn't side with us because of the way he thinks about us. And we have a police department that doesn't do anything about us, and that we are here fighting more than they are. So I hope that you guys actually do hear what everyone in this center is hearing or talking about, so you guys can side with us and listen to what everyone's saying, because everyone is scared. I'm scared that I'm never going to be able to see all my friends again. I'm scared that their parents are going to be gone one day. I'm scared that all of us are going to have to fend for ourselves. I'm scared that one day at school that I'm going to get held by people that I don't know, people that are covered, people that I can't identify because they wear masks and they don't properly ID themselves. I'm scared that everyone that I love I'm not going to be able to see them again because even though that they're U.S. citizens, they don't care about us. They treat us like dogs. They treat us like animals. No one here cares about us because of the color of our skin. So I'm asking you guys, every single one of you guys that are sitting up here, to actually hear us and do something about it, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of telling my mom and dad every day after school that, have you seen the new video of ICE pulling someone over because of the color of their skin? I'm tired of everything. And I hope you guys really do something about it, because I really do want something to change, because I should not live like this as a 16-year-old. I shouldn't be scared. I should be focusing on school, and I can't even focus on school.
Did you hear his heart? Do you hear that young man's heart say to them, how can I focus on learning? How can I focus on school when I don't even know if my parents are going to be home when I get there? If I have to worry about them all day long and keep checking my phone to make sure it's not them and make sure there's nothing is going to happen, where do I go if they get taken? The amount of evil that is happening in our world, that is giving people with no skills, high school diplomas, some of them, who knows whether they were the top of their class or they scratched by the skin of their teeth. Who knows? But we know some of them are not emotionally intelligent. You can see behavior. You can see their body language. You can see what happens when they're frantically looking for, what do I do in this moment? Because they've been undertrained for the type of combat that they find themselves going into, which they don't need to do that. They don't need to be going into that type of combat, but they're using power as a weapon. And anybody who's done any study of history knows that those with power are not going to give it up for free. There's a cost. If you want to take the power back from those who have oppressed you, you're going to have to pay something. And all those payments, it may not be dollar sums, but we know, we definitely see what dollars will do for you in this country. I mean, we're selling opportunities for membership, for citizenship. We're selling cards with a person's name and face on it. Let me try and not jump into the fact that we had a person in the White House who destroyed the building. Tore down a wing of the White House. I don't understand how painful it is for people to continue to support a regime, a administration who is doing things absolutely absurdly that they would have never accepted from someone else, ever. Now with their silence, I mean, maybe you couldn't even do anything if you wanted to, but guess what we're getting right now? We, America, this young democracy, is getting tested by how much we actually really mean by the rules of this Constitution that we say is a real thing. Do we really believe in this thing called the Constitution? And what are we willing to do to protect it? And guess what we continue to see over and over again? Not much. Not much. Not much if you want to tear down the White House. Go ahead. No one's going to stop you. Go ahead. Not much if you want to kill people in the middle of the street. No one's going to stop you. Go ahead. Not much if you want to go into schools and take 5-year-olds and use them for ransom so their fathers will come out and protect them. Not much. Not much if you want to grab people by the way they look. Not much. Not much if you want to profile people racially and then say, oh, we'll figure it out later. Like the 11th grader who was taken from his job, beaten up, left miles away from his job, thrown on the ground on his face. Not much. And so all the people who are in power, who are sitting by, barely speaking out. And there's some who are speaking out. First of all, let me say, there are some who are speaking out in a surprising way, which is grateful. I'm grateful for all the ways that people finally come around to their own consciousness and the values they say they stand by, I'm glad to hear them finally coming around. But don't let it be missed the fact that so many of them are not. And don't let it be missed that they have power to do something about it and they're sitting by and doing nothing. And history will remember them. And what I really hope happens in this country is that we begin to really begin to make sure that we don't forget the people who watched it and did nothing. I don't know the people in power, the people who have voting rights to make changes right now. There's changes that can be made right now. But guess what? The people in power are like, we're afraid of the bully. If you've never been bullied before, you may be having a hard time wondering, why are they not going to speak out? Well, I've been bullied before. I know what it feels like to have to feel like your throat is closed shut to the words that want to come out of your mouth, but you are afraid. There's one thing to be afraid about somebody punching you in the face. There's another thing to be afraid about somebody destroying your career. And most of them are protecting their careers without caring about the thousands of people who voted for them to protect them. They weren't voted for to think about themselves. They were voted for to think about the people who they were voted in by. And we see over and over again the lack of that. Listen, there's another story I want to tell you about a young man, a 10-year-old boy. Maybe he's in the 4th grade, maybe he's in the 5th grade. Was at a futsal competition. He got back to the car. His mom recorded him telling the story of the goalie on the other team, telling this 10-year-old boy that ICE was going to come and take him away back to his country.
Okay, Max, tell me again what the other player told you during games.
So the goalkeeper in futsal, he said some really bad stuff to me, and it just made me get really emotional in my game, and I rarely get emotional in soccer. And this guy told me I'm an illegal immigrant, even though I was born in America. He said Trump is gonna get me and send me back to where I used to live, and I was born in America. I don't live anywhere else. And then he called me an effing B word, and I just don't get why kids like to say those stuff. It makes me really sad that how they just control their power like that. They think they have power, and it's just not nice.
I don't know how much of the emotion he allowed to show on the field, but I know that in the car with his mom and the safety of that car, he shared where his heart was at. And over again, these lessons are passed down from generation to generation to generation. Sometimes they're picked up on these social media devices. But guess what? I imagine if we do some homework, if somebody had the time to do some homework, we could go back and look at the list of people who enslaved people in the past, who were a part of the KKK and the militias of the past. And we wonder that even though for a long time they went into silence, they went into hiding, they went into this is not acceptable to be loud about this kind of feeling anymore. They may have still felt it. I mean, it didn't stop any kind of white supremacy just because they went into hiding. They were just there. And as this new administration empowered them to be more of their real, true selves and take off their masks of caring and kindness and of decency amongst our community, they now get to speak out loudly. And now people are taking it amongst themselves to harm others, to step in and say, well, I'm going to call somebody on you. I'm going to do something to you. I'm going to be the one who mandates what you get to do. And a 10-year-old boy, another player on another team, decided, this is what I'm going to use against you. This is the kind of language, harmful language. This is the kind of hateful language. This is the kind of violent language that I'm going to use against you and let you take it like that. And what we know over and over again is that the more people who don't have a chance to let that steam out, when it comes up, they find themselves walking around like emotional landmines. And then that one moment when somebody says the wrong thing at the wrong time, boom. Boom. Listen, I am grateful for this time with you. Thank you for listening to me share some of these words. Here's what I want to say, that there are things happening, not only here in the Bay Area, but maybe in your own town. There are protests being announced that are stepping up and letting the world see that we as Americans, that it's not all of us who are allowing or accepting or tolerating this. But guess what? Power is power for a reason. I find myself sometimes thinking, should I go out and be in these marches, or should I do more work of where I feel my talent was given? Where is my gifts at? Stay in my lane. Like, what should I do? I'm asking myself over and over again, but I am not going to continue to be watching it and do nothing. My nephews matter too much to me. My niece matters too much to me. My godsons and goddaughter matter too much to me. My former students matter too much to me, and their children who are in this world matter much more to me. And the amount of profiling that already happens in our communities, the fact that we are giving the government a permission to come in and take you down without even due process. We have work to do, folks. I hope that as you decide the things that are important to you and valuable to you, you find where your voice can stand up, stand out, and be heard. That's our invitation. That's what these conversations are about. How do we improve the state of education? That 10-year-old boy had to go to school on Monday and hopefully act like everything was okay. Figure out, like, I'm dealing with this. Is that kid going to find me? Is he going to track me down? Is he going to do something to me? Do I have to worry about that? Where would they take me? How are they going to take me somewhere else where I don't know any other country? Not only that little boy, but over and over again. Just this past week, we had schools in the Bay Area walking out. Hayward, San Lorenzo, Berkeley, walking out. In the city where Ever Forward Club was founded, in San Lorenzo, they were right there on Hesperian and Llewellyn. Hundreds of students letting their voices through action, through approved action, through their rights as citizens to say what they feel and to speak out against these amendments that we say matter.
Breaking news now in the East Bay, where a large student walkout is happening to protest ICE. Sky 7 video showing you the crowd here. The protest started in the parking lot of the Walmart on Hesperian Avenue in San Leandro. The demonstrators are mostly students from 6 different high schools in San Lorenzo, Hayward, and Berkeley. The crowd is now lining much of the street on Hesperian Avenue, where Sky 7 is showing us, and we've seen even some crossing into traffic, almost getting hit by vehicles a few times. They've also taken over the median, the sidewalk, and the front of a Starbucks store. This comes as tensions rise nationwide over immigration enforcement tactics following a second deadly shooting involving federal agents in Minneapolis.
But have you seen recently that even when we say it matters, kind of like the right to bear arms, the right to have, you imagine the people who all love their guns, where were they? Where are they? Oh, but see, I remember there was I don't know if it was a poem. It wasn't a poem. I think it was a quote, and it was like a black and white film, I remember. And they were like, well, they came for them, and then they came for them, but I didn't say anything because they didn't come for me. And then they came for them, and then they came for them, and I kept my mouth shut because they didn't come for me. And then they came for me. And I think more than ever, people are starting to see that you are not immune. Because most people seem to not care that their health care got taken away. Millions of people lost their health care. People seem not to care that there were allowing them to shut down the government, and people, families, the ones on the fringes, the ones, the least of us, those who have the least resources are being taken away, while the billionaires and billionaires keep making more. They say it's going to trickle down. Don't worry, it's going to trickle down. Well, maybe if you told me it was raining, but I think that you're pissing on my head, maybe I'm not going to listen to you anymore. But I'm hoping that more than ever, people continue to listen to their own voice and don't listen to what they tell you that you saw. When you saw a man be assassinated in the street, after being disarmed by what he had the right to carry, we must find a way to figure out how we speak out. We must. I need to find a way to how I get to speak out. And this is where I'm going to start. On this channel that I have, and those of you that are willing to listen, I want us to be a community again that, hey, we don't have to agree. But we live in a world with these devices now, these phones, where we can just swipe by voices we don't want to hear. And so people become they have an inability to hear voices that don't match what they really want to hear, because we're just used to just swiping past something that says something we don't want to hear. There's a video I don't want to hear, swipe past it. There's a commentary I don't want to hear, swipe past it. So everyone has their self-curated algorithm in their pocket of what they want to hear. And we have gotten lazy at hearing what we don't want to hear. So here's what I want you to think about. If you are an educator, if you are trying to support not just your male students, but definitely all students, but how many students are walking around as landmines right now at the brink of breaking? But if no one ever asked them how they're doing, if no one asked them, then maybe we wait for the break of, we wait for it to, somebody to step on it, and then the explosion, and then we run into the hallway trying to clean up the mess because we didn't do any work. We just learned about one of our young men who was in an altercation. Sadly, him and his friend were jumped. And then the next day they came back to school and they did some behavior to start another fight. And the behavior of like over and over and passing it down the line is not going to be healthy for our schools, for our teachers, for our communities. And so bringing this back to education, as we try and always do, you can do something about this. If you know there's a school in your community, please call that school. Yes, they're going to get lots of phone calls. Call them anyway. Ask them, are they doing work to support the emotional well-being of their students? Are they doing something to invite students to really recognize what's happening behind what you see on the outside, the mask? You personally, you can in yourself first go make a mask. You can go to millionmasks.org, and maybe there anonymously, you can just say, here are the things that I'm talking about a lot. Here are the things I'm not talking about. Here's what's on the front of my mask, what people really know about me, and here's what people don't really know about me. Maybe you go first. You go make your mask. And then the people in your community, invite them anonymously to make a mask. And maybe once they make their mask and you made your mask, that you have a conversation about it. And then come tell us how it went. We've seen relationships blossom from just getting real. We've seen connections deepen by people saying, wait, I've known you since I was in third grade. How did I not know that about you? And if it can happen with young people, it can happen with us as adults as well. So the invitation is that you take the voices you just heard from these young people, from Manny, from the soccer player, from the visuals of the young people walking out of schools, and you say it is now time that we stand up for them too. And if you're not that kind of person who is willing to do anything about it, it's okay too. Hopefully a couple of seeds get planted here, a couple of seeds get planted there, a little watering, a little soil, and hopefully maybe there'll be a time when you say, oh, maybe they're coming for me too. Maybe my silence doesn't make me protected in this landscape we live in today. I totally invite you to be a part of the journey. I hope that as educators, as principals, as administrators, as teachers, as coaches, that you will make space in your classroom to ask students, how are you feeling about what's going on? And we all have our own opinions, but our job is not to like make them believe what we believe, but it's like, well, how are you feeling about what's going on? You're not thinking about it? Okay, let's keep moving. Are you feeling worried? Are you feeling stressed? Do you have a space, a safe space to discuss these topics? I invite you to be a part of that. We have on our website, you can get access to the Million Mask Movement there, the curriculum, the ideas, the guides. Please don't wait till a crisis happens at your school. Please don't wait for an emotional landmine to happen down the street from your school or in your own school building before you say, man, I wish I coulda. I wish I hadda. I shoulda.
I wanted to thank you for what you do because I think it's like very important.
Thank you.
And actually, about a year and a month ago, we actually had someone take their own life, a young man. and they were like on the same sports team. And I think if your administration came, like that would have like prevented it. And it was like definitely a tragedy because like no one really knew. Like, like they were definitely like a very like nice kid, just like anyone else. And like I tell you that because I'm like very like. Thank you very much. Thank you. I like really like like what you do, I guess. Yeah. And I was curious, like, you know, are you looking for someone like me, like what you said to help out?
How about we take action right now, proactively? I think that is so important for all of us. So thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope that you feel ready, inspired to do something, take some action. And these conversations, as we continue to talk to men from around the world, around our country, from all ages and from backgrounds, from elementary school all the way to high school and the college level, I hope that you hear the heart of men who are saying, yeah, there's more to me too. There's more to me than you can see. We look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Be well. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And please spread love. Take care. Bye now.